Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for your Chelsea versus Nottingham Forest preview. And we have to discuss, of course, this team and where we're at in terms of the situation with Pochettino, which is still waiting for an update. But at this point, it seems like it's all done and dusted. It's just the final few details that are getting arranged and rehashed. And this is getting quickly, spoken about by reporters time and time again. It's just rehashed, rewashed news. We already know that at this point. We're just waiting for the announcement. And Lampard says there's no update as well. Obviously, Chilwell's out for the rest of the season, it looks like as well. So we have to take that into account with our team. We'll come up against a Nottingham Forest team that are shocking, absolutely shocking away from home. Unfortunately, we are shocking as well. One win out of our last five, and that was last weekend against Bournemouth. Unexpected. But I'm not getting too ahead of myself because this team has done a lot to, kind of scar me more so than actually, rebuild and replenish what was there in pastures new. So for me, when I look at this team, I say to myself, what are we going to do in this game? This is our last game where you can effectively say we expect or we should expect to win, because everything after this is just absolutely... We're going in massive underdogs. We're going in not even thinking we can get a point. Potentially scoring goals and keeping scorelines respectable will be the most we can probably ask for. We've got Manchester United away. We've got Newcastle at home. We've got Manchester City away. So this game represents the last opportunity to maybe get 3 points, if I'm being completely honest. And the team needs to reflect that. But the team also needs to reflect the future. The team needs to reflect the fact that we're seeing reports that Aubameyang hasn't really been used in recent months because of the fact that his bonus for playing, his appearance fee is quite high, or as well the fact that they don't want to invest more time into a player they definitely know is not going to be here next season. That was apparently poorly communicated across to him by Potter. So there was a little bit of confusion there. Listen, I'm only interested in playing players that are definitely going to be here. The cover links away to Man City only enhance the fact that Kante has to really be signed back on in a new deal. He's come out and said that he wants to be part of the future, part of the project. That's fantastic. Sign him up on a lower base wage, maybe more incentivized for playing matches, and make it make sense in that regard. You know how I feel about Kante. As long as his injury issues can be cleared up, of course he's a quality player. I just have massive reservations on how much he's actually going to play. You cannot build your midfield next season around Kante. Kante, as I always keep saying, is a bonus. If you see him, if you play him, it's a cherry on top of the cake. But if there's no cake, then the season is an absolute farce. And we need to make sure that we have the midfield capable of playing with or without Kante. So that's absolutely critical. Now, obviously, like I said, no Chilwell, so Lewis Hall was left out of the Under-20 World Cup squad. For me, that means Lewis Hall absolutely has to start. Going to the Under-20 World Cup would have been a huge deal for him, a massive opportunity. If we're not going to let him go to that, and we haven't, because obviously we've got left-back injuries to Cucurella and to Chilwell, we cannot now be starting Azpilicueta at left-back and leaving Lewis Hall on the bench. We brought him on against Bournemouth. I understand we was trying to close out a win. Azpilicueta comes on more experienced. We want to win the match. Fair. But now, starting a game at home to Nottingham Forest, Lewis Hall has to play. And to be honest, my team kind of takes inspiration from Manchester City, from Arsenal, the way that they set up. I think Lewis Hall being in this team is the perfect opportunity to try this type of lineup. Now, right, I'm going to take you through it. And I'm going to start obviously with the goalkeeper. Mendy clearly is not going to be here next season. He's been completely frozen out. He hasn't been given a single opportunity since he's come back from injury. I would prefer to play him, and I keep saying that week in, week out. But Kepa goes in goal because that's just what's going to happen. My hope is, to be honest, that both the goalkeepers will be cleared in the summer. I think it's unlikely. I think it's more likely that Mendy leaves and a new number one comes in and Kepa goes back down to second choice. But I would have no problem with Cellini coming in as second choice as the US goalkeeper. And we maybe even go and get an older HG, homegrown English goalkeeper. Same way Man United have Jack Butland and, Tom Heaton, all these guys that float around as a third choice. And a proper new number one. But Kepa goes in goal, for argument's sake. We know he's going to play. Then I want to formulate a back 4/3. As I keep saying, to be flexible between the two right now is probably the main aim for us, considering the fact that our midfield is not the most balanced. I want to see Fofana obviously starting. I want to see Thiago Silva, who could be leaving Thiago Silva, and I wouldn't blame him. I think the club is in a position that does not tailor to anybody of his age, experience and quality. He's not going to be playing European football next season. That is not what Thiago Silva deserves. He's a generational, unbelievable defender, and he should be playing at the highest level. And if he's not playing at the highest level, then I can completely understand why he wants to rain check on a few things and consider going back to Brazil. If he does that, no problem. Completely understandable. Legend, absolute legend of the game. And to be honest, with what he's done in such a short space of time, I'm considering just saying a legend of the club. And I don't think many people will even disagree. What a footballer! He saved us countless times. Made a massive tackle last weekend in the game against Bournemouth. Last ditch tackle. This guy. He's one of them guys like Giroud, like Petr Cech, like Fabregas. You just give them what they want. If they want to go, let them go. Don't make it difficult for them. Do not make it uncomfortable. If they want to go for their own happiness, for their own sake, let them go. Give them your blessings, and that is it. End of conversation. I don't want to hear no back and forth between the board and Thiago Silva over what he wants to do. He deserves what he gets, what he wants. So Thiago Silva goes in there. Fofana plays right side centre back / right back, and Badiashile comes in at left side centre back / left side centre back in a 4, in a 3. It doesn't matter because Lewis Hall's going to play left back. However, I want us to use Lewis Hall the same way John Stones has been used, the same way Zinchenko has been used, the same way Rico Lewis has been used. Lewis Hall in the academy is a midfielder. That's where he's naturally at his best. We've seen him at Chelsea play left wing back. He was very good in some of those games, apart from when he got to the final third and it was time to take a shot, and he wasn't so good. So instead of using him as a wing back where he's asked to get up and down the pitch and he's asked to get into the final third and take those shots that, let's be honest, weren't going in for him at the Etihad in particular, I want him to tuck in and go alongside Kante in what would form a 2. So you've got yourself Kante and Lewis Hall just ahead of that back 3. Badiashile, who can work on that left-hand side, even pull out to the wide areas, make those passes, some brilliant passes on show last weekend. Silva in the middle and Fofana to the right. If it comes back to a 4, no problem, but that is how I want it to look, with Hall alongside Kante. And the reason why I want it to look like this alongside Kante is because there is some conversations and discussions that Kante is obviously going to be a big part of Poch's setup next season. I don't know if that's going to be as an anchor or it's going to be next to an anchor. You know how I feel about Kante. I don't think he should be playing as an anchor. I don't think he should be playing as a sole primarily holding midfielder. I don't think that's where he's at his best. I think a lot of managers have refused to put him in there for obvious reasons. When you hear about Pep talking about that 6, he speaks about stability. He speaks about a player that doesn't move too much and kind of assesses what's around them and stays quite stable and quite still. Kante is the complete opposite of that. This guy is rushing around and roaming around and putting out fires and carrying the ball into the final third. And unfortunately, the final third actions aren't quite there. So for me personally, I don't want to see Kante playing that role. I would like to see Kante playing next to an anchor, next to a 6. But if he is going to be playing as a 6, well then, if you want to try it, because I know some people actually really want to see this. I've debated Nini, big up Nini, many a time on this conversation, and me and him disagree on this. But if you are going to play him as a 6, well then there's no better opportunity to see if he can do that than playing him next to Lewis Hall. He's still working as a player in a double pivot, but the responsibilities on Kante are absolutely huge defensively playing next to a Lewis Hall. I'm not asking Kante to get up and down. I'm not asking Kante to get forward. If you're playing next to Lewis Hall in a 2, you need to sit and stay next to him alongside and really be part of that anchor. Not solely, because you do have help, but you have to be very, very disciplined and not get too out of position and not leave gaps in behind. So let's see if it can run. If it can't, then hey, you know my feelings on it. Enzo, I would play higher up alongside Gallagher. I think Gallagher deserves, to be fair, to play. I don't usually ever start Gallagher. However, I think Carney's gone to the Under-20s World Cup. Gallagher has been playing recently. It is very likely that he starts. And to be fair to him, based on the last performance, he does deserve to start. One thing I really do have to give it to this kid is that he puts in a damn shift and he does really want to play for this football club. Whether or not I believe he has the ability to really make a serious imprint on his football club as a starter or even really long-term as a bench player. But one thing you have to rate is the commitment and the consistency in terms of he gives everything. He gives absolutely, the boys gave everything. If you want somebody who actually gives everything, he gives everything. So him alongside Enzo gets to be pushed higher up the pitch in this kind of Odegaard role. Maybe Gallagher is your Xhaka, you know, in some aspects. But listen, the point is that they're your advanced 8s, they're your players at the top of that box midfield. Mudryk on the left, Madueke on the right, and of course, down the centre, I would go with Felix. I want to see Felix playing in this kind of false 9 role. dropping into the half spaces with Mudryk coming off the left, with Madueke coming off the right. You can even make a case that maybe Sterling could start because he did get an assist in that game against Bournemouth. But again, I'm going to keep pushing Mudryk to start at this point. It's the end of the season. I want him to get a run of games. He wasn't completely impactful in the last one, but shove him out there again, see if he can push, and Sterling comes off the bench for impact. But that's not really too concerned. I think Madueke is the clear player that everybody's excited to see. In terms of his last performance, he definitely starts on that right-hand side. I think Felix in between the lines there, what he did with Sterling, I want to see more of it. Like I said, that's what I would pick. It goes without saying that, this is a must win. To be honest, we've hit our 40 points now. There is no such thing as a must win. I'm not really too concerned or bothered, if I'm completely honest. I just want to see the right players on the pitch. I just want to see opportunities for certain players. And yeah, like I said, if Carney was available, maybe I'd give him a start again, like I keep pushing for it. But he is going to go to the Under-20 World Cup, so there's not really any point saying so. And Mount's out for the rest of the season. James is out for the rest of the season. Chilwell's out for the rest of the season. Lampard's not really been starting Loftus-Cheek. There's not really much options anymore in that area. Next season, we're going to have Andre Santos. We're going to have a couple of new midfielders. There's going to be a lot more going on in there. But right now, that is, for me, the team. But like I said, Nottingham Forest, they're fighting for their lives. I think they're only 2 points off the bottom 3. They're going to be fighting for their lives. I know their away record stinks, like I mentioned before, but do not underestimate the fact that they are fighting for their lives and that this is going to be a very, very difficult game. It should be a very difficult game. They are going to go tooth and nail for some sort of point or points. And our record at home is nothing to be proud of. There's nothing to be fearful of if you're Nottingham Forest. So it's going to be an interesting game. I'm going to give a prediction of a 2-1 win. I don't know why, but I'm just going to go with it, right? I'm more than likely to be wrong, but hey, here we are. You know what I mean? I'm going to give some positivity for some reason I do not know. Let me know in the comments down below what you think in terms of your prediction. Let me know what you think of my team. And until next time, big up your damn selves. In a bit, people. Peace.